Tonight, we open a file long kept in shadow. The case of a man who should have been a household name in the annals of bodybuilding. A man who could lift more than men twice his size, who won titles others only dreamed of, and who walked away when the sport itself turned into a carnival of chemicals. For years, his file was buried, his name concealed. But tonight, the record will be set straight. He was born in 1964 in a working-class town of the American Midwest. His childhood was marked by grit and survival. Football and boxing became his escapes, ways to channel anger, energy, and raw physical power. But life shifted. His family moved to Florida, and with that move, his football path dissolved. Instead of cleats and helmets, he found dumbbells and barbells. The weight room became his arena, and something astonishing happened. At 15, he was already benching weights that would crush grown men. He seemed engineered for strength. While other kids experimented with curls and push-ups, he was stacking plates. By 18, his lifts defied reason. In 1985, the record books began to take notice, a 575-pound bench press. By 1986, 610 pounds at a body weight of just 220. It was not only strength, it was impossible strength. At this stage, his destiny seemed set, powerlifting legend, maybe even world champion. But bodybuilding came calling. In the mid-1980s, bodybuilding was enjoying its golden glow. Arnold's legacy still fueled the industry, but Lee Haney was dominating the Olympia stage. Gyms were booming, magazines were everywhere, and the sport was surging. Friends pushed him to compete. He stepped onto the bodybuilding stage for the first time in 1986, and the result was shocking. Heavyweight winner, overall champion, a total sweep at the Junior Nationals. From that day forward, his path was sealed. By 1988, he had taken the coveted Mr. USA title, one of the Federation's great gateways to stardom. Winning Mr. USA meant a ticket to the pros, and by 1989, he had claimed his professional status. Then came 1990, the Olympia. He stepped onto the most sacred stage in the sport, standing under the same lights as Lee Haney, Rich Gaspari, and Sean Ray. He was a rookie, but he cracked the top 10. Few achieved this on their first try. He was hailed as one of the brightest new stars. The magazines called him a future champion. But, unfortunately, bodybuilding's path is never straight. The early 1990s saw the rise of an unusual competitor, not another athlete, but another league. The World Bodybuilding Federation, funded by the same empire that ran professional wrestling, the WWF, and it promised bodybuilders what the IFBB cannot: bigger paychecks, louder production, television coverage, the works. He signed. For 2 years, he wore their colors. The WBF collapsed quickly, but not without consequences. Though his reputation survived, his relationship with the IFBB was damaged. Once you crossed that line, you were never truly welcomed back. Still, he pressed on. He trained with a style that combined raw powerlifting strength with bodybuilding precision. While others focused solely on pumping for the pump's sake, he used heavy compound movements. Bench presses, squats, deadlifts, the foundation of his strength carried over into his physique. He trained with intensity, but also with method. Unlike some who chased volume for its own sake, he preferred quality over quantity. A session might last an hour, but it was an hour of war. No wasted sets. No wasted time. His diet reflected the discipline of the era. High protein, moderate carbohydrates, carefully cycled fats. Chicken, steak, rice, oatmeal, eggs. Supplements played a role, protein powders, amino acids, but this was before the modern explosion of exotic formulas. What set him apart was his ability to grow while staying relatively lean. His metabolism was fast, his recovery aided by both genetics and discipline. He didn't balloon in the off-season the way many of his rivals did. He believed in looking like an athlete all year, not just for 12 weeks before a contest. But bodybuilding was changing. The 1990s marked the end of one era and the rise of another. Dorian Yates introduced the grainy look, massive size combined with striated hardness. Soon after came Ronnie Coleman, pushing the freak factor into uncharted territory. Judges stopped rewarding proportion and lines. They rewarded mass. Sheer mass. And with mass came chemicals. The whispers in gyms grew louder. Growth hormone. Insulin. Dangerous stacks. The new game was not about who trained hardest or ate cleanest. It was about who was willing to push their body the furthest with science or with poison. Our subject refused to play that game. He had used enhancements, yes, as virtually every competitor of his era had. But he would not embrace the full chemical arms race. In his words, the stage was turning into a freak show. He didn't want to become one of them. By 1999, after competing in Toronto, he stepped off stage one final time. His career was over. His integrity intact. What followed was not obscurity, but reinvention. He became a coach, a trainer, and a consultant. He lent his name and experience to supplement companies, helping design products and educate athletes. He passed on what he had learned from the great minds who mentored him. Joe Weider, the father of modern bodybuilding. Arthur Jones, creator of Nautilus machines, Dr. Fred Hatfield, Dr. Squat, who pioneered strength science. Our subject became more than a competitor. He became a guardian. He warned younger athletes about the dangers of chasing size at any cost. He told them, the trophies are not worth your health. And so his story stands apart. He was not the most decorated bodybuilder. He did not hold the Sandow Trophy, but he represents something rare. The boy who lifted impossible weights. The champion who claimed Mr. USA. The Olympian who stood against giants. The man who refused to become a monster. Identity confirmed. Our subject is the one, the only. Major Guns. Eddie Robinson. Yes. Eddie Robinson, a powerlifter who shattered strength barriers, a bodybuilder who chose principle over politics. In an era dominated by chemical warfare, he stood for something different. His legacy is not written in Olympia placings. It is written in the courage to resist, in the choice to walk away. This is the Pump Files. Case closed. Subscribe and click the notification bell for much more undiscovered Pump Files.